There's one more trailer. Yeah, this was about a day ago or so. Was it 3 days? I guess it was 3 days ago, wasn't it? Why not? Because it shouldn't be too long of a video. I've been doing reactions for every Last of Us HBO like series trailer leading up to season 2, which is in a little over a month away. I believe the first episode premieres on the 14th of April. If anybody doesn't know, quick context, I love Last of Us. I love Naughty Dog. I loved what they did with the first season. Is it perfect? No, but it's I mean, it's up there in terms of adaptations. It's a fantastic adaptation. I've done full playthroughs of the games on my channel. I'm definitely trying to kind of run predictions, so to speak, and try to find parallels between the show and the game based on what limited information we're given. I'm going to do one pass through without edits, which is going to be heavily edited because copyright is copyright, right? And then I'll do a scene by scene breakdown. And in the case, this I believe is the final full, what I would assume is a story trailer for season 2. So let's hop into it. I'm gonna have my initial reaction and keep it all in my head, I suppose. And then I will do the spoiler talk after my initial reaction. So,
yeah,
somewhat, maybe. Oh yeah, we did. Flashback. Technically,
This is where we live.
Jax.
What's that?
the fence.
Oh, look at
What's
Joel
inside?
Bean. Peepaw.
People.
At the old dance.
What's outside?
Gotta get some bigot sandwiches. Called it. For my last trailer. Was that Troy? No, surely not.
Monsters.
Monster.
Monsters.
Oh man. Alright, we're up in our game, huh?
By the time the sun comes up tomorrow,
Production value looking good. Hey. Best birthday
there's a
ever.
very good chance you'll be dead.
You're gonna lose.
Ooh, pretty straight shot for someone running. Oh no. Good luck. Interesting. I recognize a lot of this, but there's still some stuff that's a little bit unknown. Damn. Going toe to toe with the bloater, huh? Oh, they're adding in some stuff for sure. Oh. Yeah, I know what I know what all that is. Hopefully that's the last trailer for this. I also, from what I've been led to believe, they're breaking down the second game into 3 seasons. I think 3 seasons. They said it's like this show at most is going to last between 3 and 4 seasons. Before I get into spoilers, anybody who has not played or watched a playthrough of Last of Us Part 2, you're in for a wild and harrowing ride. I love Part 2. Part 2 is also, I think, a phenomenal game. Personally, I believe this. However, it will rip out your soul and step on it and spit on it. For anybody who would disagree and say Last of Us Part 2 is bad for any of the reasons that everybody likes to hop on the bandwagon and say, I merely say Part 2, I would classify it as a barometer for empathy. I'm very excited for season 2. I'm curious to see what changes they make or what they hold true to. I remember watching all the reaction video people, right? And they're going into the season 1 and they're saying,
oh, well, I've seen the game, but I'm going to go into this show with the headspace of never having seen the game before.
I don't know if I'm alone in this camp or not. I've been going into the show directly comparing it to the game. You know, still weighing it on its own to an extent, but I'm looking for ties, links, comparisons. To me, it is an adaptation of one of my favorite games from one of my favorite studios of all time, so I'm curious to see how it fares as an adaptation. Now, for those that don't mind the spoiler talk, starting by saying this, as we've already, I think, figured out, is from early on in part 2 of the game, where her and Dina are on patrol, and they're in that grocery store, and there's some creepy crawlies around here. Of course, the broken watch Joel's wearing. My guess is this could be during that therapy session, maybe, with that new character we're introducing that's not part of the game. Saw a little bit of this. I think we're in Salt Lake City, Utah here, and this is the Firefly graves. I mean, obviously the Firefly pendants, right? And if I had to guess, this is after old Abizzle Verizzle has lost her father, Poppy. Here's what she's looking at right here. But this is definitely got to be the... Isn't it the first flashback? It's the birthday flashback. It's got to be. It's chilling in the woods. Yeah, see, Joel has this. Even Joel's shirt is the same. I think it's also in Wyoming, but taking her to a like natural history museum for the dinosaur exhibit and eventually the space exhibit too, which is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entirety of part 2. And of course, that'd be the Joel flashback, right? But just the whole happy birthday, kiddo. Joel's got his readers over here, showing what they've cordoned off here.
What's that?
I'm curious to see whose kid this is. Spawn, recover, Alpine. Yes, that's all the patrols. Be prepared. Because they're all like doing patrols, and that's what Ellie and Dina are part of, as well as Jesse and Tommy and Joel, etc. The Miller residence, interesting. They've really changed the design of the house. I'm sure they had to compare it. You can't really make it pitch perfect to what it was in the game. But, I mean, this is the Miller residence, or in Jackson now, this is Miller's house. That's where Ellie goes during grief with Dina and kind of goes to the house one last time to get Joel's revolver and head out to Seattle. It's interesting because there's a light. It could just be, so they're changing the time of day because there's that evening bit. Again, the very start of Last of Us Part 2, where Joel comes in, gifts her the guitar. She has the wrap on, which at first I was corrected, by the way. At first I said it was because of the hospital situation, but it's more because she's trying to hide her bite mark, so she has her arm wrapped for that reason. I'm guessing this is the scene where he breaks out the dad joke, sings a little ditty for her on the guitar, cue the credits and whatnot. It's interesting because that's normally at night, but they're changing it, I guess, to have that more of that soft sun coming through, and I can see it tonally make it a brighter moment. Of course, we have the dance, yes. Like
I woke up in the morning about 9:30.
the infamous PlayStation trailer, like the first gameplay trailer for the game that we all know about. Her and Dina. I'm curious to see if they'll handle the romance in a similar manner. I'm really curious to see how this all fares. Like, if I'm going to be looking through this with rose-colored glasses, or if it's all gonna. I have pretty full faith between Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin on the project. And this is back to that patrol scene. Yeah, in the grocery store. Now, I was right about this. The last trailer we saw had the Sarah fight with the, again, not the scythe, the sickle. A lot of people thought it. Well, I don't know if it's. I don't think it's. Is it Abby? It's not Abby. So a lot of people were saying that was the scene, and we before we know who Abby was. But no, this is just kind of watching the Seraphite ceremony. Someone about to be gutted, and they are nested with sin, and then open up their guts on the ground. So I was right about that. It wasn't Abby per se, but it was just some other poor unfortunate soul. A WLF, we are in Seattle, Washington. That I will say, I know it's their, like, you know, military, like paramilitary group and all that, but I almost think this, like, truck looks too clean. Okay, for some reason I thought that was... You know what's funny? It doesn't look like Troy. That looks like Anthony from Queer Eye. Like his side profile looks like Anthony. Abby and her group, right? Abby, Owen, and then what you got... do I even remember their names? That's got to be Mel. One of them's Mel. And then Manny? Is that Manny in the back there? I'm curious to see how the casting turns out. But that's definitely Abby and her group. I'm curious. The Abby they're going with, for the sake of the show... I mean, Abby is known as a character infamously who is, like, you know, she's like bulked up, basically. She's Muscles McGee over here. But they're saying they chose not to go in that direction for a very purposeful reason. So I'm curious. Snow covered. Oops. These people are speculating this big herd we see might not be from the herd scene in part 2, but it could be something early on to establish the severity of, like, of the, I almost said walker, of the infected herds. Maybe. Yeah, people are speculating this is a flashback to another time in Jackson when they're having to like face a herd head on. And especially this is not in the game, like having these explosive defensive perimeters. I mean, definitely it's good for the TV show in terms of the scope, the scale, and the budget. Yeah, and then of course you got Tommy over here maintaining the defensive line. Somebody even saw that they officially cast, I forget the actor's name, but the guy they picked for Eugene, I recognized him from another project. So we're gonna meet Eugene. I like that. We got to see Frank in the show instead of just seeing a dead body. Instead of just hearing about Eugene, we're gonna meet the character. There's the highway, the little stretch of highway before hitting Seattle. Yeah, on the quest for Abby Abizel. Another scar. Now, I'm curious, is that I think it's just supposed to be another child scar. I was like, is that Yara or Lev? It definitely isn't Lev. The ethnicity's off, so I don't think it's Yara. But I think it's just to show that scars have families too. If you just look in his face and only his face, it looks a little bit like Walmart, dollar store, Alan Tudyk. That's funny. All of them giving the whistles and all that. This is the subway? That's Dina, yeah? I think this is the subway. Or at least Seattle Underground in some respect. And then Jesse, oh, I know where this is. This is, yeah, old Jesse and Ellie. Ellie was in Hanover, thinking she was tracking down Tommy. And then he accompanies her as they're trying to get to the aquarium, basically. And Dina's back at the theater, laid out with the pregnancy. So yeah, this is Jesse accompanying Ellie through the rainy, flooded. I'm curious the scope and scale of that, the rainy, flooded city of Seattle, Washington, how they're gonna, I mean, that was a massive, like, kind of expansive maps. Ellie and Dina, okay, yeah, so this just sharing a romantic embrace. Of course, we all know what that is. Again, that's in the museum. Okay, so that is the, yeah, museum. There's all the spacesuits, and they're gonna go inside the, with the lunar lander here. We gotta put the hat on the dinosaurs, you know? And there's the concept designs for the oh, is this after she gets the tattoo then? Yeah, I see. So she got the tattoo to cover up the burn, and then she's gonna tell people, anybody who asks, that it was a chemical burn. But yeah, she has the famous tattoo. Now this is the hospital, yeah? This is the Ground Zero hospital. Oh, dude, I don't know if we're gonna get to it in this season, but you know what they might do? I think Last of Us Season 2 will be the first half-ish of the game, right? We're gonna follow Ellie. Oh, I betcha. We're gonna follow Ellie on her quest for vengeance. After what happens to Joel happens to Joel. Then we're gonna follow her as they go to Seattle, as they go from one person to another through Abby's group, trying to track her down. And I feel like we're gonna end. They could even end the bit where it's like, "We let you live, and you wasted it," and then it's like season ends, and then season 3 could be potentially from Abby's perspective, as what the game does, when it then rewinds time, and then we go through Abby's story and build that up, and that all could build up to season 4, which could be the inevitable conclusion of part 2 of the game, which ends up having us, you know, out in California, and then the final confrontation on the beach, and then letting go, moving on, Ellie losing her fingers and all that. That's my guess. If they're going to be structuring this for a 4-season gambit, because this strikes me as the bit where Ellie is chasing Nora through the hospital that the WLF is packing up and getting ready to move on from before that eventual confrontation in the spore-filled hallway, which they've confirmed, by the way, because it's pretty important for the game. You kind of need the spores for the plot, so they're adding in spores, claiming that things have now escalated.
You're gonna lose.
Damn, that's Isaac as he's torturing people, the Seraphites and the Scars. This, interesting. Yeah, you see, a room full of spores, underground, and infected. This, I feel, is she wearing a winter coat or a rain jacket? Oh no, he's breathing spores. I thought it was the cold, but I think it's breathing spores. And this is Abby being chased by the herd in Wyoming. I'm curious who this is. New character, question mark? Of course, the subway. They're chasing Ellie and Dina through the subway, the red lights and all that. It all looks great, by the way, the production value. Oh, Joel's all snowy. Might be as Joel and Abby first meet, maybe. There's Nora. Nora's got, what, puka shell necklace on? I made her talk. And this is definitely, yeah, when Joel, Tommy, and Abby are running from the herd. Screaming with the... Interesting. Can't quite tell when that would be. Herd chasing Tommy, Joel, and Abby. Joel's patented revolver. This is interesting. Is that a bloater? It is. Okay, so they've added this in. This never happened in the game. Again, if I had to make a prediction, I'd say that I kind of side with the fan base on this one, where I think this is it's meant to be a flash, unless they're going to try to tie the herd so that it's not only chasing... But this looks like it's in Jackson, so I don't think it's the same herd that leads them down the path to Abby playing golf. I think this might very well be... This looks digital somehow. Maybe it's not. Why? I think it has to be with the fire. But this is making me think of, like, this could be a herd flashback to show the power of one. And add in a scene where there's explosive defenses outside, and then Tommy literally using a flame. Although that's the classic strategy, isn't it? Flamethrower the bloater. And this 100% is when Ellie runs away from Jackson, goes back to the now abandoned Firefly hospital in Salt Lake City, Utah, to go find the truth about what happened to her and that Joel lied, and have their little encounter here. Is she using more of the what is it, that balm you use on the face to she admitted to, like, a lot of these emotional scenes she's not actually crying herself. She's just got like the vapor rub that she uses to get the tears going. The emotion's there, the acting is there, but she's admitted to, like, oh, I'm not actually crying. The lighting's a little bit different. Less sun. I mean, there's still sun poking out into this, but compared to how we know it to be lit, and I think it's even in a slightly different location. It's more of a gentle sunrise. The sun's not like fully out yet. April 13th, that's when it is. So yeah, just like a month and 2 days away from when I'm recording this. Okay, so I told you guys and gals the same way I watched season 1. I'm going to be approaching this show as somebody who has played the game many times, seen it played many times. I'm very familiar with the source material. I'll be comparing, contrasting, still trying to enjoy it as a show, but I will be judging it both on its own individual merits, but just as well through the lens of being a adaptation of a video game. But I've got my tinfoil hat theory on for how I think they're going to be structuring it. I'm curious to see what changes they'll make. I'll be recording my reaction to the show as it comes out every night. Patreon is where it goes first. On Patreon, you will have access to, if you choose to subscribe to it, that's where they'll be available full, uncut, uncensored HD video accompaniment. Otherwise, I, of course, will be doing the edits for YouTube, getting those out as soon as I can. I have a feeling this will be the last story trailer we'll get. Hopefully it will be. At most, I'm sure they'll put out like a little bit more marketing, maybe some TV spots or something, but I will try to avoid seeing too much of anything else in that regard. Thank you guys so much for watching. What are your thoughts on season 2 and what it will bring to the table? Do you agree, disagree? Do you have your own theories, your own observations? Please let me know, and I look forward to experiencing it with you all when it comes out. Have a good day, have a good night, and as always, goodbye, travelers.